Men, let's be real. Women never truly appreciate your presence until they have to deal with your absence. You might think she likes having you around, but the real test of her feelings isn't when you're right in front of her. It's when you're not. And that's what we're breaking down today. Welcome back to Man of Substance, the channel where we teach men how to navigate relationships with clarity, confidence, and control. Today, we're diving into what a woman actually feels when you're not around. And trust me, it's not as simple as she just misses you. Her emotions shift, her mindset changes, and depending on who you are as a man, she either starts craving you more or slowly starts replacing you in her mind. See, modern dating has conditioned men to believe that constant attention is necessary to keep a woman interested. That's a lie. In reality, the space you create by stepping away, whether intentionally or not, determines whether she respects you or sees you as another disposable option. Here's the truth. When you're absent, a woman goes through a mental and emotional process that tells you everything you need to know about her true level of interest. Some women will feel a deep sense of longing, others will experience uncertainty, and some won't feel much at all, which is also a message in itself. But most men never realize this because they're too busy chasing, over-explaining, or trying to fix something that isn't even broken. So today, we're going to break it all down. I'll walk you through the 7 key things a woman feels when you're absent, how to recognize them, how to use them to your advantage, and most importantly, how to maintain control in your relationships. Let's get into it. Before we start, I've created a community on Podia where I break down everything you need to know, step by step. You'll get no-nonsense, practical advice that will boost your confidence and help you build stronger, more meaningful connections. And the best part? The first 20 people who join will get an exclusive discount. So don't hesitate. Click the link in the description to grab your spot. If you know someone who could use this, share it with them. 1. She questions your value. When you step back, a woman is forced to confront a simple but uncomfortable question. Was he actually worth my time? Women don't just miss a man because he's absent. They miss a man when his presence added something valuable to their lives. If you were just another guy texting her non-stop, validating her every move, or making yourself overly available, your absence won't create any real emotional impact. But if you were a man who brought leadership, excitement, and a sense of security, the moment you're gone, she starts feeling that gap. At first, she may not even realize it. She'll carry on like nothing happened, still enjoying the attention from other guys, still busy with her life. But as time passes, something shifts. She starts questioning why she even liked you in the first place. Was it his confidence, his ambition, the way he made me feel? These thoughts creep in, and suddenly, she's analyzing your value in a way she never did before. This is where things get interesting. If you were a man who always stood his ground, maintained his standards, and made her earn your attention, she'll start to feel your absence like a void. She'll realize that other men aren't measuring up. That excitement, that presence, that masculine energy, it's missing. And once a woman feels that loss, she starts craving it. But on the flip side, if you were too available, too eager, or too focused on keeping her happy, she won't feel much at all. She may even feel relieved, confirming that you weren't as valuable as she once thought. Let's take a common situation. A guy dates a woman for a few months, always putting in effort, always making time for her. She enjoys it, but never fully appreciates it. One day he pulls back, less texting, less availability, more focus on his own life. At first, she doesn't care. Then a week goes by. Then 2. She sees him out, handling his business, looking unbothered. Suddenly, she's the one questioning her position in his life. That's when his value skyrockets. This is why absence is powerful. It forces a woman to see you clearly, either as a man she truly values or one she can easily forget. A high-value man understands this. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't chase. He lets his presence be a privilege, not an expectation. And when a woman starts questioning your value, that's when she realizes she may have lost something she can't easily replace. That's the difference between a man she forgets and a man she respects. 2. Her ego takes a hit. A woman may act like she doesn't care when you pull away, but make no mistake, her ego notices. Women are used to being chased. They're used to men constantly trying to impress them, win them over, or at the very least, check in to see how they're doing. So when you go silent, when you stop feeding that attention loop, she starts feeling it. Not in her heart just yet, but in her ego. At first, she might brush it off. Oh, he must be busy. He'll text me soon. But then hours turn into days and days turn into a week. That's when the confusion kicks in. Why isn't he reaching out? See, in today's dating world, most men operate out of fear. Fear of losing her. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of her finding someone else. That's why they keep checking in, liking her posts, or sending those pointless, "Hey, how's your day?" texts, just to stay relevant. But a man who understands his value doesn't do that. He knows that his attention is the reward. And when he removes it, a woman feels it. Because suddenly, she's not the one in control anymore. Now, here's the key. When a woman's ego takes a hit, she won't always show it. Instead of reaching out directly, she might start posting more on social media, dressing up a little extra, or suddenly engaging with guys she previously ignored. But don't be fooled. This isn't about them. It's about you. She wants to see if you'll notice, if you'll react, if she still has that grip on you. Take this scenario. A guy and a woman have been talking consistently. She enjoys the attention but isn't fully investing in him. One day, he stops texting first. At first, she shrugs it off, but after a few days, she starts subtly testing, viewing his stories, liking an old post, even mentioning his name in a group chat just to see if he responds. She doesn't miss him yet, she misses the validation. And when he doesn't bite, that's when the ego hit turns into real frustration. A man who can resist the urge to chase is a man who forces a woman to confront her own insecurity. And once she starts wondering why you're not acting like the rest, she's already playing your game, not hers. 3. She feels a power shift. Women are used to being in control when it comes to dating. They know that most men will do anything to keep their attention. Text first, double text if ignored, and constantly try to impress them. That's the dynamic most guys accept without even realizing it. But the moment you step back, that power dynamic starts to shift. At first, she doesn't think much of it. She assumes you'll be back, that you'll eventually reach out, that you're just playing hard to get. But then time passes, and nothing happens. That's when she starts feeling something she's not used to, uncertainty. And let's be honest, women don't like uncertainty when they believe they had control. See, in most cases, a woman walks into a situation knowing she has options. She assumes she can replace you easily. But when you remove yourself without explanation, without begging, without trying to check in, you're forcing her to acknowledge something uncomfortable. Maybe I wasn't as important to him as I thought. This realization doesn't sit well with her. It makes her question the entire situation. Was she the one being pursued, or was she actually the one chasing? And here's where it gets interesting. The more she feels that loss of control, the more her mind starts obsessing over it. Because let's be real, women are not used to being the ones left wondering. They are used to being pursued, to having options, to feeling like they are in control of the emotional pacing. But when a man flips that script, when he chooses not to engage, he disrupts the entire game. Suddenly, she's the one checking her phone. She's the one feeling frustrated. She's the one asking herself, why isn't he acting like the rest? And the more she thinks about it, the more her emotions get involved. This is why self-control is powerful. When you refuse to act desperate, when you refuse to feed into the cycle of validation-seeking behavior, You position yourself as a man who chooses where his attention goes. And that is what makes a woman rethink everything. Because at the end of the day, attraction is not about always being present. It's about knowing when to step back and let her feel the shift in power. And once she does, she'll either come back on your terms or she'll reveal that she never valued you in the first place. Either way, you win. 4. Her attraction intensifies. When you step back, a woman doesn't just forget about you, her attraction starts to grow. Not because she's suddenly in love, but because distance plays tricks on the mind. It makes people crave what they don't have easy access to, and that's exactly what happens when you're no longer constantly available. See, women are not drawn to men who smother them with attention. They're drawn to emotionally engaging experiences, and one of the most powerful emotions that fuel attraction is uncertainty. It's that feeling of not being fully in control, of not knowing exactly where she stands with you. That's what makes things exciting. When you were always there, replying instantly, liking all her pictures, and giving her non-stop validation, there was no mystery. She knew she had your attention, and because of that, she didn't need to chase it. But when you pull back, when she suddenly realizes that she's not the center of your world, that's when something shifts inside her. At first, she won't even notice. She'll go about her day as usual, assuming you'll eventually reach out. But then time passes. She picks up her phone, expecting a message that isn't there. She sees you online, but gets no text from you. Suddenly, she finds herself thinking about you more than she expected. And here's the thing. This isn't even about you yet. It's about her reaction to the space you've created. Human nature is simple. When something is too available, we take it for granted. But when something becomes scarce, we start to value it more. That's exactly what happens when you stop making yourself too easy to reach. She may not act on it immediately. In fact, she might even try to convince herself that she doesn't care. But internally, the shift has already happened. The man she assumed would always be there is no longer giving her that sense of security. And that insecurity, that small fear of losing you, fuels her attraction more than anything else. This is why men who understand attraction never overgive. They know that a woman's feelings are tied to emotional highs and lows, not just consistency. A woman doesn't stay attracted to a man because he's nice or always there for her. She stays attracted because he makes her feel something real, something that lingers even when he's not around. And the moment she starts feeling that pull, she's already more invested than she ever planned to be. 5. She tests you. When your absence starts to affect a woman, she won't just sit back and let things happen. Instead, she will test you. This isn't always intentional, but it's her way of figuring out whether she still has control over your attention. These tests aren't random, they serve a purpose. She wants to see if you'll break the silence, if you're still emotionally invested, or if you've truly moved on. At first, she may try something small, liking an old post, viewing your stories, or casually bringing you up in conversation with mutual friends. These subtle moves are designed to get your attention without making her seem like she's chasing you. If she doesn't get the reaction she wants, she'll step it up. Suddenly, you might get a random text from her, something as simple as, "Hey, hope you're doing well." It's not just a friendly check-in, it's a test. She wants to see how eager you are to respond. If you instantly reply with excitement or start putting in effort again, she'll know she still has you. But if you respond casually or don't respond at all, she starts questioning everything. The more unbothered you seem, the more intense her testing can become. She might start showing up where she knows you'll be, making indirect posts that seem directed at you, or even flirting with other men, just to see if it gets a reaction. If she was once in control and your absence has disrupted that, she needs to know if she can pull you back in. This is where many men fail. They take these tests as a sign that she wants them back, so they jump at the opportunity. They respond eagerly, try to restart conversations, or worse, fall right back into the old habits that made her take them for granted in the first place. But a man who understands the game doesn't fall for this. He recognizes that these tests are not about rekindling a deep connection. They're about regaining power. He doesn't ignore her completely, but he also doesn't give her the reassurance she's looking for. He keeps his responses short, doesn't initiate, and continues to live his life. And that's when the real shift happens. She realizes that the dynamic has changed. She no longer holds the same control she once did, and that alone makes her rethink everything. If she truly values you, she will have no choice but to put in actual effort. If she doesn't, then she was never really that interested to begin with. 6. She considers other options. Let me be brutally honest, if your absence doesn't make her feel anything, she will quickly start looking elsewhere. And this is where a lot of men get blindsided. They assume that just because they once had her attention, she'll sit around waiting. But the harsh reality is, women always have options. The moment she starts feeling your absence, one of two things will happen. Either she realizes your value and starts craving your presence, or she decides you weren't as significant as she thought and shifts her focus elsewhere. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear. If she replaces you quickly, you were never a priority in the first place. This is where you need to wake up. Too many men waste time wondering, is she thinking about me? Is she missing me? Instead of focusing on the bigger picture. If she can move on effortlessly, then she never truly saw you as someone irreplaceable. And if that's the case, why would you want her back? But here's where men mess up. They panic. The moment they realize she might be entertaining other options, they go into desperation mode. They start texting, checking in, or trying to prove why they're the better choice. And the second you do this, you've already lost. She doesn't respect a man who begs for her attention. She respects a man whose absence is felt because his presence was valuable in the first place. This is why it's crucial to understand your worth. If she's so quick to look for attention elsewhere, that's a reflection of her, not you. A high-value man doesn't chase validation. He doesn't sit around wondering if she's comparing him to someone else. He knows that he is the prize. So instead of obsessing over whether she's considering other options, ask yourself a better question. Are you the kind of man who even cares? Because if you were focused on your purpose, your growth, and your goals, you wouldn't be losing sleep over a woman who might not even be worth your time. Women respect men who don't beg, don't chase, and don't compete for attention. If she truly values you, she will recognize what she lost. And if she doesn't, then she was never yours to begin with. Let that sink in. 7. She either submits or moves on. This is the final stage, and it's where everything becomes clear. After all the emotions, the tests, the doubts, and the shifts in power, a woman will do one of two things. She will either fully submit to your value, or she will move on completely. There is no in between. Let's break this down. If your absence made her realize your worth, she will come back differently. She won't just reach out casually or try to play games anymore. She will approach you with a newfound respect because she now understands that you are not a man who can be taken for granted. This is when she stops testing and starts investing. She will be more feminine, more cooperative, and more willing to meet you halfway because she understands that you are not just another option, you are the prize. But here's where most men fail. They don't recognize this moment. Instead of maintaining their frame and letting her naturally come back in a respectful way, they get excited. They instantly go back to the way things were, thinking they've won. And the moment they do this, they undo all the power they just built. The key here is to allow her to prove herself. If she comes back, she needs to earn her place again. If she's truly realized your value, she won't hesitate to do this. Now what if she moves on? What if your absence didn't bring her back? Then you just dodged a bullet. If a woman can detach from you without hesitation, if she can move on to another man without a second thought, then she was never truly invested in the first place. And this is where men need to wake up. Her leaving isn't your loss. It's hers. A woman who moves on easily was never going to stay long-term anyway. She was just waiting for the next best option. And let's be real. Do you really want to fight for a woman who would replace you at the first sign of distance? Do you really want to chase someone who only valued you when it was convenient? If your absence didn't make her miss you, then your presence never meant that much to her in the first place. And a high-value man doesn't beg for a place in a woman's life. He lets her choose, and if she doesn't choose him, he walks away without hesitation. This is where emotional control separates the strong men from the weak. The men who win at this game are the ones who never let a woman's decision dictate their value. She comes back. Good. She leaves. Even better. Because a man who truly understands his worth doesn't fear losing anyone. He knows that the right people will recognize his value without him having to prove it. So, here's the bottom line. When you pull away and she either submits or moves on, you don't lose. You get clarity. You see her for who she really is. A woman who respects you will make the effort to keep you in her life. A woman who doesn't, she was never yours to begin with. And a man who values himself knows he never has to beg to be chosen. At the end of the day, your absence is the ultimate test. It strips away the distractions, the fake validation, and the power plays, leaving only one thing, the truth. A woman's reaction to your absence tells you everything you need to know about her level of investment, her respect for you, and whether she truly values what you bring to the table. Now, here's the controversial reality that most men don't want to accept. A woman who can replace you easily was never yours in the first place. If she moves on without hesitation, if she treats your absence like it's nothing, then you were never a priority. You were just an option. And a man who knows his worth is never just an option. But let me ask you something. How many times have you seen a woman lose interest the moment a man starts chasing? How often do men panic when they sense a woman slipping away, only to push her even further by acting needy? It's a cycle that repeats itself over and over, and the only way to break it is to understand that your value doesn't decrease just because she fails to see it. So here's what I want you to do. Drop a comment below. Tell me about a time when a woman's reaction to your absence revealed her true intentions. Did she come back with respect? Or did she show you that she never really cared? I'll be reading through them and reaching out to some of you, because this is a conversation that men need to have. And remember, a man who knows his worth never begs to be chosen. If you're looking to take a deeper dive into these concepts, join my Podia community. Link in the description. It's packed with powerful insights to help you master your masculinity in today's dating world. Stay strong, stay focused, and protect your power. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.